The best way to ace a panel interview is to connect with each person on the panel where there are 2, 3, or even more people interviewing you. But how do you do that when there's this strange group dynamic? In this video, I will teach you 5 core strategies you need to ace a panel interview, including how to predict what they are going to ask you, how to make a better impression than all those other candidates, and the super common mistake that even seasoned interviewees make that can cost them the offer. By the end, you'll know how to walk out of or log off of any interview where you've impressed every single person in that panel. So first, let's begin with what to expect in a panel interview. A panel interview can flow a lot of different ways. At the core, it's when you have more than one person interviewing you at a time. Sometimes it's a structured round where they each take turns asking you questions. Sometimes they go deeper and expect you to answer behavioral or skill-based questions. Sometimes it's more of a conversational, free-flowing situation. Okay? And sometimes they may even ask you to create a presentation or project or a case study to show the group. In this video, we're going to focus more on the question and answer panel interviews. Now, you should know why companies choose panel interviews over one-on-one interviews so that you know what you're getting yourself into. First, panel interview formats are efficient. It lets multiple people hear your answers at the same time, compare notes, and hopefully make decisions faster. Here's a bit of insider information from working in HR. Long interview processes get bloated, usually not because the hiring manager needs more information to make a decision, but because of all the politics of all the stakeholders signing off on a hire. Everyone has to feel like they had a part in that hire. So while this interview may seem more intimidating than others, it may have saved you a couple of hours of interviewing, so that's peachy. Second, it's also a way to see how you communicate in a group and handle that pressure. I mean, how you read the room, how you respond to different personalities, and hold the attention of several people who are focused on you. This is especially important for you if you are interviewing for higher level jobs. All right, let's get into it. I'll give you the 5 tips to absolutely rock the panel interview. I'll tell you the number 1 mistake that people make, and finally, what to do after the interview to seal the deal, even if you don't feel like the interview went perfectly. First, walk into that room or log into the call with confidence. In a panel interview, if it's in person, greet each person individually with a handshake, eye contact, and bring a printed resume for each person. Even if they already have it, it shows that you're thoughtful and prepared. If it's virtual, look at the names on the screen and greet them directly. Larry, Mo, Curly, good to meet you all. Shake hands at the end of the interview too, or if it's virtual, use it as an opportunity to repeat their names. Second, what will they ask? Well, in most panel interviews where you are meeting these interviewers for the first time, you'll almost always get some version of, tell me about yourself. This question is your chance to set the tone. Keep it confident, concise, and with details about your past that are specific to this role. Now, if you need help structuring your answer, I have a free worksheet that walks you through it step by step with an example. I'll link it below. Beyond that, it's normal to be asked about your strengths and weaknesses. If they are all in your function, they are more likely to ask you skill-oriented questions, such as, how would you build an automation flow for your role? If it's more of a mixed group from different departments, expect more questions that reveal things about your character, such as, how do you handle competing deadlines? Or what is your leadership style? And they may end with, do you have any questions for us? And your answer should always be absolutely. And I'll give you a free document with questions to ask. But in this next tip, I'm going to show you how to take your question asking up to 11. Third, ask for the names of your interviewers for your panel interview ahead of time and write them down and have them in your notebook in front of you. Now, if you can't get their names ahead of time and you learn them in the moment, make sure you write their names down phonetically, okay? When the pressure of the interview is in full swing, you won't have the brain power to remember if it's Leanna or Leanna. And if you don't remember, then you're probably going to avoid saying her name, and that is a lost opportunity to connect. And addressing people by name during the conversation helps you stand out immediately. So you can say something like, "That's a great point, Jordan," or "I really like what Priya mentioned earlier." It makes each person feel acknowledged. Now, here's where you can go the extra mile. Research them on LinkedIn. Look for how long they've been at the company, what departments they've worked in, or what kinds of roles they've held, and you'll be able to tailor your questions. For instance, "Harry, I noticed that you worked in both finance and operations departments. How do those two teams collaborate closely with this role?" Or, "Sally, since you've been with the company through several phases of growth, how has this role evolved over time?" Harry and Sally will be panting like little doggies at how attentive you seem. Question for you: how common is it for you to have a panel interview? Is it at most companies you interview with? Hardly ever? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. Fourth, ask for clarification in the job interview if you need it. If a question is broad or confusing, don't just start talking and hope you land on something relevant. Take a beat and ask, "When you say launch strategy, do you mean in terms of marketing or operations?" Or, "Just to make sure I'm answering what you want, are you asking about internal communication or client communication?" Interviewers actually like this a lot because it shows that you're thoughtful, precise, you're listening carefully, not just shelling out rehearsed answers. Fifth, behavioral interview question. Everyone is asking these in interviews. I'm taking off my earrings for this one because this is getting serious. Behavioral questions are ones that start with things like, "Tell me about a time when," or "Give me an example of," and they're trying to see how you think and react in real world situations. And these questions have gotten so common, and they are very likely to be asked in your panel interview. It could be something like, "Tell me about a time you had to make a decision with limited information," or "Describe a time you had to get many clowns in a teeny tiny car." To prepare for these, I recommend building your story toolbox. Follow prompts to get a bunch of examples from your work history on paper. And I'll link a free download of some really helpful prompts. And once you have all of these stories down, look up behavioral interview questions online and practice reading the question and matching it to one of your stories you wrote down. You'll find that most questions can be answered using some version of your top 5 or 6 stories. And there is an art to get your stories to fit multiple questions. You have to be a little bit creative with how you introduce the story or emphasize different points based on the questions, but you will be amazed at how you are now able to answer nearly every behavioral interview question with what I call this story toolbox. Now, let's talk about the biggest mistake people make in a panel interview, and it's one that people do without realizing it. The candidate only focuses on one person. It's usually whoever asked the question, whoever seems to be the one leading the group interview, or sometimes whoever appears to be the most engaged in the conversation. But that leaves out the other interviewers to feel disconnected from you. It's like when you're at a party and someone's telling a story, but they never look your way.
I was talking to that squirrel over there.
You feel a bit invisible. You do not want that. Here is the fix. When someone asks a question, start your answer by looking at them, but as you continue, shift your gaze around to include others. And if you're on video call, this could mean acknowledging the different people on the call, even if they haven't talked in a while or at all. Such as, it's not unheard of for a lower level employee to be on the call, but not say much. And that doesn't mean that they don't have a say in who gets hired. So make sure they feel seen. Next, within 24 hours, send individual thank you emails to each person who interviewed you. Keep it brief, but ideally personal if you can. Reference something specific you talked about, thank them for their time, and reiterate your excitement about the role. Additionally, I have a free email templates that you can download that will walk you through how to follow up after each interview, which can actually help you secure the offer. If you found this helpful, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. I'll see you on the next one. You've got this Wi-Fi high five.